Today we'll be learning about solving systems of linear inequalities, section 3-3 in your book. This section will put together what you learned back in 2-8 on solving inequalities, or graphing inequalities, and what you learned in section 3-1 on graphing systems of equations. So let's look at an example. When you solve a system of inequalities, you are looking for the region of overlap between the two inequalities. Because inequalities don't have just one answer, they have a whole region of where we shade. Remember that if it is equal to, you draw a solid line. If it is not equal to, you draw a dashed line. We'll be also shading based upon test points. So let's look at the first equation. 2x minus y is greater than or equal to -3. To get y by itself, we need to subtract 2x, and we get -y is greater than or equal to -2x minus 3. Then divide everything by -1, and we get y is less than or equal to 2x plus 3. Remember that when you divide by a negative, you must flip that inequality sign. So to graph this equation, we're going to start by going up 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go up 1, 2, and over 1, or down 2 and left 1. Because it is equal to, we're going to draw a solid line. Now let's pick a point to test, and we'll use that point for both equations. So let's pick 1, 2, 3, 1. Let's use the point 3, 1. We'll use that for both equations. So if we plug in, we get 1 is less than or equal to 6 plus 3. That's 2 times the value of x, which is 3. And that is true, so we are going to shade, let me do this in red, the same color. Make sure if you have two colors at home with you, that you either use two different colors, or a pen and pencil, or highlighters to help you. So we're going to shade this half of that line. Now let's do the second equation. This is where you will want to use a different color. This equation is already solved for y, so let's just graph it. We're going to start by going up 1, and then we go down 1 to the right 2, or up 1 and left 2. Because it is a negative slope, it should be going the opposite direction. Also, because it is equal to, this is also going to be a solid line. Using that same green point that we picked, let's plug in. 1 is greater than or equal to -1/2 times 3 plus 1. A half of 3 is approximately 1.5. -1/2 of 3 is -1.5. Is 1 greater than or equal to -1.5 plus 1? The answer is yes, because -1.5 plus 1 will equal -0.5. And 1 is definitely greater than that. So we're going to shade the purple line where that green dot is, which means above. Remember that if you don't need to pick the test point, if you can see what's above and below, then you do not have to do that. So the answer to this system is the part where they overlap. If I was to color it in differently, I would start at the red line, turn at the purple line, and go all the way to the edge of the graph. And all of this region in here, where the red and purple overlap, would be my answer. So I would be looking for, where did your regions overlap? If you want to color it in again with a different color like I did, you are welcome to. Let's look at one more example. Oh, now you try before we look at another example. Turn to page 150 and try Got It number 2. You can look the answer up in the back of the book. Remember to check your answer before moving on to ensure that you do not have any questions. If you do, please write them down and ask them the next day in class. Remember to pause the video so that you can try this, and then hit play when you're ready to continue. So let's try another one. This one has absolute values in it. So what is the solution of the system of this inequalities? Remember that if I'm trying to graph the line, y is less than or equal to 3, I would be going through the y-axis parallel to the x-axis. Because there is no x, you cannot touch the x-axis. So we're going to go up 1, 2, 3. Because it's equal to, we're going to draw a solid line parallel to the x-axis going through where y equals 3. Because it says y is less than 3, I want things that are going to be less than or underneath 3. That's everything down here. The second equation. Remember that when you're graphing absolute values, you need to first state the vertex. The vertex of this is 1, 0. Remember that inside is always as opposite and moves left or right, and what is outside is always as is and moves up or down, which is your y value. Because there's nothing out there, that's why y is 0. So we're going to move over to the right 1 and plot that point 1, 0. Our slope is 1 over 1, which is what's in front of the absolute value. So we're going to go up 1 and over 1. And then we reflect on the other side to create that V shape. Because it's equal to, the V will also be a solid line. We want things that are greater than that absolute value. Greater than is going to be above the V, which is everything up here. Then you see our overlap region is this small little triangle right here. You do not need to circle it. All I would expect to see is this graph with that overlap region right there. So now you can try it one more time on page 152, got it number 4, with absolute values. Check your answer in the back of the book and make sure to ask questions on anything that you do not understand the next day in class.